You're an ugly guy.
Good morning.
Morning.
Hey.
Can you hear me, Rob?
Good morning.
Yeah, let me adjust my volume.
Can you hear me, Robert? His audio or something.
Give me one quick second. I'm just changing the background, man.
I want a cool background.
You change your background.
Okay. You know, I like glitter, so
Yeah.
I want a new one.
Hold on, bear with me here.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm using a new laptop, so I had to get used to this thing.
Oh, got the dough on.
Good morning, man. How are you?
I'm good.
Okay.
Good quick call, man. I'm glad we was able to do that.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry, man. I would have talked forever, dude, but I know you got a busy schedule, so.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
You got the your son. You said you had some football today.
We had basketball today.
Oh, yeah, basketball. Okay.
Yeah, football was yesterday. Basketball.
Okay. So, COVID. How are they doing sports with kids? I mean, how's that going?
You know,
hey Rob, I don't mean to cut into that, but I'm gonna have to hang up and call back again because it's acting funny again, man.
Go ahead. Go ahead. So
yep, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. So COVID, how's that with children's sports?
It depends on what program you're with. So far, like on the basketball side, you know, the basketball parents who have elite athletes, like they don't really care. Like they're just kind of, I mean, it's like a tight knit situation. So a lot of the practices are with the same people. Okay. And so I feel like there's kind of like this family atmosphere, like everybody kind of trusts everybody.
So kind of like a mini bubble.
Yes, it's right. Something like that. And then a lot of the other states around us, they didn't really lock down like Michigan did. And so like a lot of Ohio and Indiana tournaments are still going on. So families are traveling to those cities to play. And so, you know, and then with football, they shut it down and then they opened it back up. So you have all these different football leagues like Pop Warner and
right.
Pop Warner is like a national league. Mm-hmm. And so for Pop Warner, they had a full 8-game season. We practiced Monday through Friday. They didn't really skip a beat. It didn't start until August though. So it was from August until the beginning of this month actually is when he wrapped up.
Okay. So we'll wait for Alex. So Rob, that is Tori. She is the woman perspective on our.
Hi, Tori. The what perspective?
Hi, good morning.
Yeah, the woman perspective. Yeah.
The woman perspective. Yeah. I should have guessed. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Nice to meet you, Tori.
You as well.
I guess she said she knows somebody from your marketing team, I think.
Yeah, Mo. Yeah, Mo. Yeah, I've known Mo for a long time.
He's Mo's like one of my right hands.
Yeah, he's a good dude. We tried to get together when he was here in Arizona last time, but our schedules just didn't let us link up. So yeah.
Yeah, no, we love Mo. We wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Mo. He's been a huge contribution to our entire situation. So.
Yeah, he's a good dude. When I first met him, I remember when you guys were, when Unique was first starting, and he's like, I got to get you in a shirt. I got to do this. I said, okay. I said, I'm dizzy. I don't know what you want me to do right now.
that sounds about right.
Yeah. So, but I love his energy. He's amazing.
Everybody does.
Yeah.
Everybody does. Remind me a lot of Alex.
Yeah, he's got a lot of energy like that.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Energizer bunny.
Yep. I need those type of people around me all the time. Like that's my little secret right there. My secret is keeping those energy people close to me as much as possible.
Yeah. That's a good one.
All right, so we're going to start this. So good morning, everybody. It is Sunday, November 22nd. We're getting closer to Thanksgiving. So I know we talked a little bit about Thanksgiving, Rob. So how are you handling Thanksgiving? Because I know the governor is put a limitation on how many people you can have at the crib. So tell me, I mean, Thanksgiving, it seemed like this year, even though we went through some difficult times as individuals and as this country, it seems like this year has kind of flew by. So it really has. It feels like it's out of control.
It's the longest, shortest year ever.
I like that.
Literally.
Released this morning, they said they are giving over 20 million vaccines in the month of December, and then following every month another so many millions, and they're saying by May it should return back to some type of normalcy. So I mean, as a business owner, how are you, and as a family, how are you dealing with COVID? And I mean, Thanksgiving is right around the corner. I mean, just crazy times.
Yeah, you know, I'm sharing you guys.
No, you're good.
Looking down, but you know, I'm all about perspective at the end of the day. You know, so the perspective can be a good perspective, or the perspective can be a bad perspective. And I just choose to constantly have a positive perspective about the entire situation. And so the way we've handled it is, you know what, I can't leave, I can't go nowhere, and I need to be home. Then I'm going to enjoy this time with my family. I'm going to, you know, improve my relationships with my kids and my wife, and you know, look at it that way. As soon as they tell us that we can get out and we can do things, then I'm going to do that, knowing that my timeline might be short. And so we're going, you know, all full steam ahead to try to make things happen, you know, create as many opportunities as possible. And so, you know, to be completely 100% honest, the little break that we had was incredible. It was refreshing. I didn't have anybody super close that, you know, passed or anything like that. And obviously my heart go out to anybody that's been affected and had to battle or deal with the effects of COVID-19. But, you know, for me personally, it was actually a breath of fresh air. Because I mean, honestly, I've been going 1,000 miles an hour, and Alex will tell you, like, I've been going 1,000 miles an hour nonstop for like the last 13, 14 years.
Make me tired. Just watch sometimes.
So to get forced to have to sit down and stay in the house was like, it felt like vacation, honestly. Like, wow.
A forced vacation.
I have to stop, you know. So yeah, it's been a good time, but business hasn't been impacted too much. I mean, we've had some setbacks in terms of different industries, like the hospitality industry, obviously. Took a little bit of a hit with people not being able to come and dine in and stuff like that. And then the automotive industry, which we work a lot in, they surprisingly have a shortage of inventory, which is kind of crazy, but people got stimulus checks and they've been buying up, you know, everything. And so, you know, they don't want extra promotion because they honestly can't handle it. They don't have the card to support some of the requests, you know. So we slowed down a little bit in those two areas. But as soon as things opened up and they could do ordering and, like, you know, some of the third party services and stuff like that, then these same establishments wanted to pivot, rebrand, and try to figure out how to accommodate some of the new ways that they're able to operate, like our new normal, so to speak. And so we've been getting called on for help in those regards. And so it's been fun helping these companies and businesses that never had to use social media, never had to use online activity to make themselves relevant. Like we're introducing them in 2020.
And their minds are probably blown away. Like, why haven't I been doing this? Oh my goodness.
Exactly. We've done more websites in the last 2 months than I've done probably in 4 years, which is crazy to me. Like, how do you not have a website? You've been successful for 10 years and you don't have a website?
That says a lot right there. Or they have one and they just don't update it.
And it's trash.
Basically.
All old.
Right.
Using 98 Windows.
I know Alex watches the show because he turned me on to it, but it was kind of funny because it was referenced in the TV show in Cobra Kai. You know, he was. He was like, Facebook.
I'm a big fan of Cobra Kai. I know all about it.
Oh, right.
He's like, Facebook.
I'm an 80s baby.
Right.
So he was like, what is this? You know what I mean? Like, so he wasn't experienced the internet. You know what I mean? So
yeah. A lot of that's real life though. A lot of that happening. Maybe not on that extreme level,
right?
But like there's a part of our conversations on the daily is, helping clients and business owners understand how to do what they've done successfully on the internet or on social media platforms. And, it's scary. It's not an easy transition if you've never done it before, so it's just been like that conversation on steroids. Like you could be saving so much time or reaching so many more customers, or there's so many tools and tricks and resources and things available for free at your fingertips. But if you don't know, you don't know, so like that's been the fun process of helping these people kind of start to understand this thing.
So we chatted offline. We're going to go back, I guess, almost 15, 20 years. Robert, Courtney, I didn't get to ask you, born and raised in the city of Detroit?
No, born and raised in the city of Romulus.
Okay.
Oh.
So, by the airport. Grew up by the airport. Okay.
That's always the reference. Right by the airport.
By the airport. Okay. So 80s baby, you just mentioned it. So in 2000, because I know we talked so quickly, in 2003, you were working for a gas company, whatever, and you had an awesome job. You were making great money, and they did some restructuring, and they basically said, "Hey, I got this new job for you, but you have to learn it in this time frame." And then they just downsized and said, "Hey, we got to let you go."
Yeah, let me give you the extreme version of that. Okay. I was 22 years old.
Okay.
The next oldest person was 48, 49 years old. Okay. So basically I was just the young guy that everybody hated because it's like, why are you making the same amount of money as me?
Right.
Wow.
So,
right.
I feel like it was one of those things where, obviously you're 22, you don't have appreciation. Like there's no way to appreciate things on the level that you should when you're 22. You just haven't lived enough life yet.
Right.
The money.
I had a brand new Tahoe. I had a brand new house.
Oh, they hated you.
I partied on weekends.
They didn't like you at all.
My shift started at 7 a.m. I walked in at 6:58.
Damn, sounds like me.
But for a 48, 49, 50-year-old person who's probably been married, probably in a marriage that they don't love, like they hate, like they're not really enjoying life that much.
Right.
They're looking at me like this young kid walking in at the last second, making just as much money as me, driving this fancy car, single, kind of.
Right.
Kind of.
Like how long did I really expect to have this gravy situation, So anyway, like that was now when I look at it in 2020, like hindsight, really that's what it was about. Like there was probably somebody out there who could do my job much better than I could and understood what it was, were in a different place in their life. And so, I have no ill feelings toward them. Like I did for a long time, but now I've matured to a point to where, you know what, I probably didn't deserve to be there. Like it was a smart move on their part.
So we talked.
It worked out for everybody.
Right.
We talked and you said, hey, I'm out of a job. How bad did Rob as a person, like, did you hit rock bottom? Did you like, oh shit, what am I gonna do?
Well, I've always just been like the super optimistic guy. I always feel like if there's a will, there's a way. Like that's always my approach to everything.
Yes.
And so for about a day and a half, I didn't want to leave the house. Like I was just like, I had a $1,250 house note. I had a $100 car lease. I had, DTE. Like there was a lot of bills that I had just recently. Like I had owned my truck for 4 months. I had been in my house for probably 3 months prior to this all happening. Okay. So I probably spent the day just in the bed, just trying to figure out like what in the heck am I going to do?
How am I going to replace his income?
Yeah. Exactly. Like, that was
how am I going to solve that?
Exactly. Like, how am I going to figure this out? So after about
where's the positive and the negative here?
Yeah, it was like for a day and a half, it was the most negative I had probably experienced up to that point in my life.
So you're dating a girl, not the same girl you're married to, correct? You said different.
Correct, different girl.
You're dating a girl, she knows Jen. She starts cutting hair for Jen, and she's like, "Hey," and Jen at the time is working at college or whatever the case may be, and she's like, "Hey, my boyfriend wants to cut hair. He's trying to figure out what's his next step." You approach Jen, you guys talk about it, and you start cutting hair, correct?
Yeah, kind of. So okay. Jen wasn't cutting hair anymore. She wasn't teaching barbers anymore. She had already kind of passed that. Okay. My girlfriend at the time had graduated with Jen prior to, so a few years before that.
Right.
And so she just had the connection to Jen. So she reached out to her for me, and I went and met Jen, and Jen was obviously super cool. Totally open to the idea of me coming to cut hair, which is not legal, by the way. So if you're a barber out there thinking I shouldn't have been doing this, but
a little disclaimer.
Yeah, exactly. She let me come cut hair while I went to barber school.
Right.
And technically,
you were an apprentice. That's what we call that.
We call it, yeah. An illegal apprentice.
You were apprenticing.
You're right. I was apprenticing.
You're good.
In every other area of beauty, you're allowed to do that. But as a barber, you're not, which is the dumbest thing.
That's crazy.
It's ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so silly.
Oh my goodness.
But so I went. Jen let me cut hair, and I went to barber school at the same time, and the rest was kind of history. Like my first day at the barbershop was like so eye-opening. It was like, why haven't I been doing this for my entire life?
Yeah.
This makes zero sense that I'm just now in 2004 finally coming to cut hair to make a living for myself.
Right.
It's a great living.
So you're cutting hair, and then some type of entrepreneur kind of kicks you. And at the time, the internet is kind of still new, right? But you're saying you're reading a lot, and you're kind of being the student of the game, right? So you're watching, seeing how other barbers interact. You're watching, you're learning the business, and on the job, you're learning the business. Even though Jen is not unaware of your capability, of you're able to, you know what? Hey, I can do this. I can run this, whatever.
Right.
So you're learning as we go with your hair, and you're being, you're observing everything, right? Yeah. She finally, I don't know if you approach her or she approaches you, or I think you said that she kind of vents to you and says, I got to deal with rent. These guys don't want to pay rent. You know what I mean? I got to pay funds, I got to do this. I got to do that. Rob, why don't you? I noticed that you're the new cat, right? You're probably paying me on time, right? You're probably, you know what I mean? You're probably helping me out if covering for someone or whatever. So she sees some type of leadership with you, and she approaches you, or you approach her and say, "Hey, why don't we just partner up?"
Yep. So I should mention, and you did a great job of summarizing that. Those early days at the barbershop, and Alex knows I talk about this all the time, like those early days at the shop were without question the training ground for everything that I do now. Like literally every business that I run, every situation that I go into, I always think like, holy crap, my time in the barbershop in those first year, 2 years was the building blocks for everything. And I say that because, like you said, I went in, didn't have any customers, didn't know any of the barbers, not from Detroit. And are all of you from Southwest Detroit?
I am, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm from the east side.
Okay, so and you would know this too.
Baby.
Oh, he said, "Oh."
You would know this
Excuse
too.
me. No, I'm just
Walking into Southwest Detroit, where no one knows you, like a fish out of water.
Right.
Just like, hey, come
They
here.
know.
Give me a
They
hug.
know.
Oh, they
They
know
know.
you don't belong there.
They knew without
They
question.
knew.
Like, who is this kid? Why
You're
is
an
he
outsider.
I was an outsider, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
So
Wow.
not only did I have to deal with like breaking this defensive barrier that everybody put up every time that they came into the shop, but also I still needed to learn how people like to get their hair cut. I had to learn what type of conversations do they want to have, when they sit in my chair. Then how am I going to make them return back to my chair after I do the haircut? So it was like, really, I was in a game of learning and understanding people.
It's almost like
your customer
psychiatrist.
service.
It's almost like being a psychiatrist. I mean, to a limit.
Yeah, I've been in the beauty industry for a long time, and you're
reading people.
You build your customer service with those people. You're
100%.
Like you said, you learn who they are, what they're about, what they want to talk about.
Exactly. Within seconds, though, like that has to happen.
Seconds.
Within
quick.
seconds, you have to be able to identify. Okay,
And
is this guy about the girls? Is this guy about sports?
Right.
Now, is he a business person? Is he a professional? Like all of that has to happen within minutes. So anyway, that is what I was learning to do. And
that is so true.
As I began to realize, like people like to get great haircuts, but what made people come back was how quickly I could establish common ground with them. Mm-hmm. And so that was kind of like my objective over like those first couple years, was learning how to interact with people, making people feel comfortable. And then obviously, like you mentioned, the conversations with Jen was just me reading her. Like, I watch you frustrated every single Saturday when it's time to collect booth rent. Right. I watch you get frustrated when people don't want to sweep up their stations, or, when they have 7-8 customers here and they're still not here, and you're blowing them up on the phone. Like, I'm watching all these things happen, but still I like to refer to myself as the quietest, loudest person that you'll ever meet. And so like, I'm very reserved. However, there's no one paying more attention to everything that's happening than I am, so I'm watching this stuff. And then I say, you know what, let me assert myself a little bit more. So when those people don't sweep their stations, I'm sweeping their stations for them. When the trash need to be taken out, I'm going to take out the trash. I'm paying my booth rent on Friday evening instead of on Saturday. Like, I'm doing little things to make her realize, like, I'm not like everybody else in this barbershop. Like, I'm different. Whether you look at it as good or bad, like, I'm different, and I'm going to make sure you recognize that. So I think that made her have more conversations about me with her future plans and what she intended to do. And one conversation just led to another. And it was like, you know what, how about we partner so that I can handle some of the things that you don't like, and you can focus on the things that you do like. And that was kind of like how the partnership started in 2006.
So I got a question. So as a barber, so did you handle the booth rent? Were you? Okay. So,
so I already know where you're going with that. So let me tell you. So I am a relationship builder. Right. So, as a business owner, usually you have like a dictatorship type of business where it's like, this is my place, this is my company, things happen how I want them to happen. Booth rent is due at this time, pay me or get out. Like, that's how a lot of people handle it. I'm the guy that hopefully you feel connected to the business so much that you don't want to leave me hanging on paying me the booth rent. Like, those are the type of relationship that I try to build. And so that's what I did. Like, I went about it like, you know what, in order for us to be the best barbershop in the area, I have to get the booth rent so that I can keep the place looking good. I can do the promotion that we need. Like
right.
I use that type of psychology, I guess you will, if you will,
right.
To make it where I didn't have issues collecting the booth rent for the most part.
Right.
Like
But
usually people take care of it.
So a question is, so did she, because you said, you know, she had the frustration. So she must have had, did she have the dictatorship? Did she have the problems collecting rent?
She fell into a third less, she fell into a third category of they all came in it to it together. So they were like so
right.
close and they had such a friend, brotherly, sisterly type of relationship. And it was like, I can pay her when I want to pay her.
Yeah,
and then she's not going to get rid of me because she loves me type of
right.
You know, so you know that's a it was kind of a special situation.
Right.
And you know, at the end of the day, it's like there's a lot of bills that need to be taken care of, and if you're not the one paying the bills, you don't, it's not as much pressure for you as it is for the actual business owner. And that, I mean, you see that happen a lot. So and
that answers a lot of questions, because like, you know, me and like, you know, we loved going to you guys. We was there every Saturday or something, you know, sometimes twice in a week, because we were partying, DJing, promoting, doing whatever we was. So you guys seen us all the time. But so that, you know, and we would always, me and my cousin would conversate. Like he would still ask, you know, how's Jen doing? How's this person doing? Is that barber there? Is that barber gone? And stuff like that. Like it was a true, you guys actually did your job, because I mean, like for us to keep asking 10, 15, 20 years later about, you know what I mean? Like it was, you know, it was a good time when we went in there, you know, we talked.
Yeah, for sure. I mean,
everybody, you know,
think about that, going to the same place every single week, sometimes twice a week for 10, 12, 13 years. Like you're seeing a person more than sometimes you see your own family. Like
right.
And Jen was like, you know, I was like, one time I called her, I said, man, you're like, she was like, oh, I've been going, you know, certain people ask when I would go sit down before them because I had an appointment, or if I didn't, and she was just doing a quick lineup or something simple, they would be looking like, she was like, oh, I've been cutting his hair since 1995. It's like, I'll be done in a minute. You know what I mean? Like, and just that respect and love. And, you know, I was like, I called Jen, I said, you're like my third mother, like my barber mom, man. I was like, like for real. Like I grew up with her, you know, telling her, oh, what are you doing tonight, Alex? Be careful and all that good stuff. And
it's like, I love Jen.
I love Jen.
It's an ongoing dialogue and conversation. You know, you're waiting for that person to come back so they can finish whatever story, or like, you know, you're going on a date, and so that's why you're getting your haircut now.
Especially with me.
Now you want to talk about the date, right?
I want to know what happened. Like, how did it go?
What happened?
Exactly.
So,
you know, those are relationships that honestly, like I had somebody comment on a post day before yesterday, and to be quite honest, like hopefully he's not watching this, but I didn't recognize his screen name on his Instagram profile. He didn't have any pictures of himself or anything, but he was like, Rob, I've been rocking with you for the last 20 years at Unique, and I love everything that you're doing. I remember when you first came to Southwest Detroit, and I swear, like I read all my comments, and you know, after a while, they kind of like start to feel a little bit of the same. But like that one touched a completely different nerve, because it took me back to not having any customers and feeling uncomfortable and not knowing anybody. And it just was like, I won the respect of Southwest Detroit. Like that's
a big one right there.
Not being from, you know what I'm saying?
You put that on your resume. That's a big one. Okay.
You don't even understand it if you're from Detroit.
My anxiety before I knew anybody there, just going to get tacos. I'm like, oh, I can go there.
Damn.
Nervous. Let me do my hair a certain way. Let me mentally prepare. Like, it's a tough crowd, y'all. Southwest is a tough crowd. Once you're in, and they love you like family. But
almost like New Yorkers.
Their respect.
I earned it. I bust my butt for that respect. But
you earned their respect.
Absolutely.
So, Rob, going through the trials and tribulations as a business owner and as a barbershop, you know, I thought about buying a barbershop many, many, many times, especially when I was DJing. I wanted to have basically a 3-building connection. This was my vision, was to have a barbershop, a walkthrough to go to a clothing store, and then another walkthrough to go to where the DJs were, and have records and stuff. So that was my vision. I never did it because, you know, like I think you're a student of the game. You know, when you walk into a business, I'm always observing, because I'm like, you know, is this a business that I could get into? Is this, you know, I've always had that mindset. You know, this is the next big thing, whatever the case may be. I've owned a Subway franchise. I've owned a couple, I've owned a bar, and there's a lot of things that I see. Okay, can I make money doing this? Can I do this? Can I do that? But as a client, my problem always is they could cut hair, but as a business owner, because even though you're renting a chair from somebody or you're paying commission or whatever the case may be, they were always terrible when it came to time. Time management was horrible.
Right.
So I always with that, even as a client or even as a business owner, I'm like, could I deal with somebody? Because for me, I think when you make an appointment with somebody and you're running late, okay, whatever, but it's first impression, right? So if you're cutting hair and you make an appointment and you're waiting an hour after your appointment, like that, to me, is just a bad taste in my mouth, right? So as a business owner, were you coaching some of these barbers how to be a better business owner, or were you kind of just, you know what I mean? Like there was things that you were just managing on a day-to-day basis? Because as a business owner, I always try to, even though they're not going to run the company for me, but I like them to know what it is to be a business owner. Yeah. So you can show them so they can have some type of skin in the game where they're like, hey, I understand what you're going through. So, I mean, walk me through that as a business barbershop, because eventually Jen steps away, right? And you run it yourself, and now you have full reign. Mm-hmm. And the people that had the friend brotherly love, that kind of relationship is gone because Jen is no longer the boss. Now you have somebody that's more structured, and how are they dealing with that? So walk through that.
Yeah, first of all, I wouldn't say more structured because I wasn't always this way. To understand a barber, you have to be a barber. Okay. And I am a barber, right? So there's this thing called barber culture. And if you're not a barber, you don't really understand it, but it's the way barbers are. Like barbers who are barbers at heart, we are not timely people. It takes a lot of effort.
Can't rush a haircut.
Yeah, it does.
At the same time, we don't want to be told what to do.
Right.
We don't want to operate on anybody else's schedule. And even as a customer, if you feel like your schedule is more important than ours, we are so okay with you not coming back to us anymore. Like we are beyond okay with it.
I'm sorry.
You just described me perfectly.
Right. I mean, it's just so real. Right. And not to cut you off, Rob, but like when I went into that barbershop, I knew everybody could cut hair. And my cousin would be like, well, did you go to her? Like, no, like I would go to Troy.
Right.
Like, I trusted Troy, and then I seen how you cut. I was like I knew I could trust everybody in there, but not everybody knew how to cut my type of hair. So I knew that too. And but I always
there's a dynamic to it.
Yeah, there was times I had to sit down and I was like, okay, I guess I'll trust
wait.
you, and or I can leave and go wait another hour and a half somewhere like
at another spot. But and so with that being said, and it sucks to say it out loud, but that's the reality. I'm giving you like the truth, like the reality of the situation. So, if you understand that, and then you go into ownership, then you can kind of reverse engineer your approach because, okay, number one, I know how I want to be talked to. I know the way that I look at things and the way I approach things. So I can't come at these barbers who, if I approach them about being on time or about, all they're going to do is push back. Like they're just going to run the other way. They're not gonna. No barber wants to work for somebody that's going to inflict harsh time restraints and timelines and schedules and things like that. So the problem with that is 90% of the barbers that do want to follow instructions and be on time and all these different things can't cut hair. Like, they're horrible barbers.
Yeah, they're terrible. They're rushed, all of that.
Yeah, so it's a big, huge catch-22, which is why most of the time, if you're not a barber and you try to run a barber shop, it doesn't work. Like, it is a grand opening, grand closing, because it's like you come.
I hate to laugh, but yeah,
you know, like, you have this whole vision of, like, you know, you're gonna open this franchise, and then, you know, people are gonna show up at 9. And
yeah, maybe they watch barbershop too many times.
Take lunch breaks and all this different stuff.
Lunch break.
It don't work.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
it's definitely a movie.
Exactly. It doesn't work like that.
Well, I mean, the reason why I mentioned that, because, you know what I mean? Like, I'm, as a business owner, my time is very valuable. You know what I mean? So, and I hope everyone has that same type of mentality, but of course I didn't. And then that's probably why the biggest thing is that I usually, if I end up buying a business, I want to run it. I want to be the dishwasher all the way to the fucking, the cook. You know what I mean?
Right.
I want to make sure that I'm able to run the business, and I couldn't cut hair for if my life depended on it.
I cut my hair for 6 months, so.
Yeah,
don't cut your own hair.
I'll fade you up, man, one day.
Yeah, that's the reason why I never bought a barbershop. So,
hey, before you move on, I should say, though, you do end up finding some unicorns. Like, there are some unicorns out there who understand the importance of punctuality, and they are good barbers, and they are responsible. Unfortunately, like, that's what happened for me, which is why I told you when we talked before, I realized real fast I didn't want to open up multiple barbershops because of those reasons. Like, there's just not enough barbers who respect time and who are responsible and who actually can actually cut hair. So when I figured that out, I'm like, I'm not doing any more shops. Like, I have to do something outside of being a barber. And the reason, it's like I had 5 chairs. I had 7 chairs inside of Unique Barbershop. And I ended up taking 2 of the chairs out because I could never get 7 good barbers in the shop all at one time. It was like, I would have 4, then I would lose 2. Then I would have 3, and I would lose 1. Then I would get back up to 4, and I would lose another. So it was always like, why can't I fill all these chairs with great barbers? Now, I would have like 7 barbers, but 3 of them would be trash and 4 of them would be really good. So it was never like 7 quality
solid barbers. Right.
And that's not even counting the time the days they actually wanted to work, cared about working. So I mean,
exactly. So what do you do?
When you say trash,
rip the chairs out.
Yeah, exactly.
That's crazy.
Exactly.
So what happened to when you say trash, are you talking about they just couldn't cut hair, or they just all around they just were not?
Well, when I say trash, I mean like I knew they wouldn't. It's like 9 times out of 10. Remember, I spent the first 2, 3, 4 years just becoming a reader of people, right? So, after a while, it was like within 10 minutes of a conversation with somebody that was interested in working in the shop, I knew how long you were going to make it. Like in my head, it was like, I'm gonna get booth rent for 3 months, and then he's
let's just collect
like
this money
it
real
turned
quick.
into a business. It turned into a business play versus cultivating this person into somebody that was gonna be a part of my team for, and I also recognize like, somebody who had like an it factor, and I met a couple of those people along the way where they didn't even realize what they had. And I realized it in the conversation. So they would miss days or not be reliable, or they would do things that the average person would have probably let them go or told them in a situation. But I tried to cultivate those things because it wasn't just about and it's never been, this is also another good point for future owners. Every conversation that you have with anybody it should be a conversation of you trying to learn about that person, right? Because maybe the timing at that moment isn't right, but 5 years from now, you go into a situation where now you need a characteristic trait that that person had that will now help you in that particular moment. And so, you know, I noticed there was like a lot of people that would come through and it would be like, man, he would be dope, but he's just not a dope barber. Like he's just not the right fit for the situation. And then believe it or not, years later, I connect with that person and we end up doing business together in a different capacity.
Timing is right at that point.
And you mentioned one word right there, this key word, and I always bring up these podcasts I listen to because I get such great information. And one thing that this guy says, he's like, you know, whether it doesn't matter what business you're in, the number one thing in any business, any job, anything you're doing or associating yourself with somebody is reliability. Like, I mean, that's like, that should be number one all around across the board. Like,
relate to somebody.
I mean, if you're not there,
no,
but I love that word reliability. Yeah, for sure.
Being reliable is huge. For
sure. It's a couple years. You and Jen are partner up. She decides to step away. You end up running the shop full time. When in your head, I don't know, 2002, 2007, 2008, you say, you know what? I don't want to open up multiple barbershops. That's not for me. I want to do something different. So I say, let's do a clothing line. So when did that idea pop up in your head? And of course, you said eventually the unique end up standing for something, which actually pushed it to the next level. When did you sit down and be like, hey, you know what, let me try a clothing line? Like, what makes you do that? Because I think, Alex, I tried a clothing line. I hated it.
Yeah, and I would bring it up to you all the time. Like, dang, you don't, you know, I would like try to remind him, even if it was a couple years later, like, dang, you don't want to do that. Like, I'll help you run it, man. You know, let me get involved and let me, you know.
I know that, you know, in the last, you know, and I know social media and the internet has changed when originally I did it. But I mean, in 2008, 2009, definitely still the internet is still kind of new, right? I mean, you know what I mean? It's not what it is today. So do you sit down and be like, hey, you know what? Let me use the barbershop's name, come up with this, you know, a logo and, you know, go from there. What makes you do that?
So it's actually a really cool story. The social media is new, but I was an early adopter. Like I dove into MySpace immediately, even when people were making fun of you and calling you corny if you were on MySpace. And so one of my first things that I did was I used MySpace to host to invite people to a few events that we were doing as the shop. So like 2006, 2007, things are going really good for me. Like I have my chairs filled. Me and Jen are partners. You know, I have my clientele has grown tremendously. So I'm busy just about every single day. And now I'm just trying to expand the name and expand the recognition of the barbershop. And the way that I decided to do that was I would do like little barbershop events at other places. So I would go to a restaurant or a bar or something, and I would say, hey, I want to bring 15, 20 people to your establishment on this day. Can you discount our food? Can you discount our drinks? And, you know, it would feel like a unique barbershop event, which that wasn't my goal, but that's how it would feel. So if you came in, you would see 20, 25 people wearing unique barbershop shirts, and it would look like it was our party and everybody was just there supporting us. And so that became a thing. So then the owners started to reach out to me like, hey, can you bring a group over? Like we're trying to increase sales this particular day. Like, can you bring a group over? And I'll just be like, okay, cool. So we would go in, everybody wearing the exact same shirt. And after a while, people would start to ask us for the shirts that we were wearing. Like, hey, how do I get one of those shirts? I see all these people with the shirts. Like, who's selling the shirts? So then I started bringing shirts with me.
Follow the leader.
Okay, here go the shirts. $20.
Crazy.
$15 or whatever. So that was kind of like the start of it. And I realized like it wasn't about the brand name. It was about the popularity of the shirt at that moment.
Yeah, the image.
That's what caused people to buy. And so I was like, you know what? Maybe we should like make some custom shirts and sell those and just see how it go. So I was kind of like, and then I would put those shirts on MySpace. And so, people would see the shirt on MySpace and they would show up to one of the events that the barbershop was sponsoring, and they kind of started to know what to expect. Now, this is pre-social media strategy. This is like not with any type of, this is no like thought process. This is just, hey, this is the shirt that we're going to do. Let's post it on MySpace and see what people think. And then let's wear that shirt to the barbershop. This was also when it was really hard to get shirts made. It wasn't like a t-shirt shop on every corner, or like you can go to the mall and just get a shirt printed up real quick. There was like this whole process involved with getting shirts done. So anyway, long story short, Jim ended up asking us to do what we would call now a cross promotion. It was an Anytime Fitness out downriver. And he was like, I'm coming. He would come out and party at these events that we would throw. And he was like, hey, can we do something similar at my gym? Like, could you bring a group of people to work out? We'll put them all in the same shirt. I'll pay for all the shirts beforehand, and it'll bring a lot of attention to my gym. So I was like, of course, like you're gonna pay,
right?
Absolutely.
What time?
So we were like, what if we switched the name up? And I don't even know if I ever told you this story, Alex. I was like, what if we switch the name up and we call it Unique Performance instead of Unique Barbershop? Then it'll be like
so dope.
A good mix of like our brand. I didn't use the word brand back then. It was our business and your, establishment, establishment or whatever. So that went great. Too. It got a huge buzz locally. And then we had a guy that came on board, a guy named Chris Smith. He was a good friend of mine back then. He was like, man, I would love to invest in what you guys are doing. I just love I love the energy, and it just seems to be really working well. And so that was kind of like our first baby. He wasn't really an investor per se. Like, he was more like a supporter of what we were doing. And the rest was kind of history. So then it was like, when I seen I could make a product and people were buying it, I just wanted to push it like to its fullest potential. And it was like, man, I want to do this for real. Like, I want to launch a clothing line. I want to call it something where we can, the collection part of Unique Collection originally was because I wanted to be able to exist in all of these different places and not be kind of like attached to one specific thing. Right. The collection was supposed to be about performance. It was supposed to be about like fashion. It was supposed to be like a collection of a lot of different areas that the Unique brand can exist in, and people just, over time would understand that.
So when did you come up with Unique, what it actually stood for?
So that happened around 2010. All the stuff I was just talking about, that was from like 2007 to about 2009. We actually did the LLC in 2008, at the end of 2008. And then in 2009, 2010, we wanted to really we wanted to get in retail stores. We wanted to push our brand, our fashion brand around the country.
Amazon,
and so,
stuff like that.
Well, it wasn't even Amazon
back then, right.
We wanted to just be in stores. Like, we wanted our brand to be making money for us without us having to physically do anything for the brand to make money. And so Facebook started around 2008, where they let people outside of colleges actually use it or whatever. And so we transitioned real quick from MySpace to Facebook, and we couldn't physically be in a lot of the places that we wanted to be in. But on Facebook, you could be wherever you wanted to be and whoever you wanted to be. Like, there was zero restrictions on building profiles. So what we did was we created 7 different Facebook profiles for all the cities that we wanted our brand to be in. So we had a unique LA, unique Miami, unique Vegas, unique Chicago. Like we were, if you were on Facebook, you thought we lived in your city. And then we would build the following, we would add the friends, we would say we went to the college that was simple. In that.
Smart.
And like the community started to grow like crazy. And we had like, you know, white people, black people, Latin people, like there was just a huge diverse following that was beginning to grow. And that was always kind of like my thing, was like bridging gaps and like bringing people together. Like this has been like me since I was a little kid. Like I wanted to go play with the white kids. I wanted to go play with the Asian kids. Like I wanted to understand more about who they were as people. And I don't know where that came from. Like that just was just, you know, something that I was uniquely born with. So
anyway, that's your soul tie. That's your gift.
It is. That's
your gift.
As I started to notice like all these different people being interested in our brand and what we were doing, it was like, man, we need something. It's like the U and like unity. Like we need something that really ties all of this together. And like literally driving down the expressway one day from Romulus to Detroit, crossing over that bridge. I don't know if you guys remember, like that bridge wasn't always there, the blue bridge.
The blue bridge.
Right.
Yeah.
I remember, I'll never forget, I remember crossing over that and thinking like, this brand could be the bridge to like actually bringing people together. And so like, it completely shifted my mindset from like fashion, like this being about actual clothes, to being about like a symbol or like
of unity
for people. And they use the clothes to say, hey, I'm about this. Like I'm about unity. I'm about like, you know. And so just at that point, it was like, how do we make the letters work? You know, like how do we create
implement that
an acronym that fit UNEEK? So that's where unifying nationalities by encouraging education and knowledge kind of came from. And just playing with the letters to make it work.
Love it.
Okay. So
you gave me goosebumps when you said it. Love it.
You know, you're doing these cross promotions. You know, you're trying to marketing your brand. So does the light bulb go off? Because I know we talked off and said, hey, some guy approached you and said, hey, can you do this for me? And, you know, you're like, hey, yeah, now let me start Robert Courtney and Associates. Does the light bulb go off? I mean, is the seed planted already saying, you know what, this marketing thing, me marketing my product, I might be able to do this for other people. Do you have that seed planted? Does that light bulb go off? No,
it was definitely not planted. It was never the intention. I was laser focused on growing a unique brand and making it the most popular brand in the world. Like that was 2009, 2010 until probably 2015. From sun up to sundown, I ate, slept, breathed unique collection. That was it. However, when people would ask, because they seen, you know, like we're inviting, I don't know if you guys remember this or if you ever did anything when you guys are doing like the parties or whatever, but in 2010, 2011, you could create a Facebook event and you could invite 20, 30,000 people to one event.
Right. Yeah.
I had a team, like the same way I move now, Alex, I have a team of 10, 15, 20 people. And every single person would give us their login information. Every single person would have 4,000 or 5,000 friends. We would get their login information, and we would invite all their friends to our Facebook events. We would do this around the country. So in Minnesota, we would do a fashion show. We would invite 20,000 people from Minnesota, and like clockwork, 200 people would show up. We would go host a show. It would be a huge success. And everybody would be like, how do you live in Detroit and you get people from Minnesota to come out and do these events? And we kept the information, like we didn't tell people our formula back then.
Right.
We did that in Miami. We did it in Minnesota. We did it in LA. We did it in Vegas. Like we were literally traveling around the world, hosting events and growing our brand. And we ended up getting in over 70 stores. doing things that way. And people just started asking questions like, and I was never like opposed to helping people. It just was like, it took away from the unique brand. And so I couldn't do it like I would have liked to do it. I couldn't really dive deep into the, into the details.
Yeah.
But that was kind of like the start. And then we met a company called Oxy Water in 2012, I believe. And they were kind of like a Gatorade, a healthy version of Gatorade. And they are from Ohio, and they wanted some representation in the Metro Detroit area. They were launching in like 200 Walgreens, and they needed a company to market for them. And they knew what we had did with our brand, and they were like, "You guys would be a perfect fit for this if you have the bandwidth to help us out." And like, this is what it, we'll pay you to do it. And I was like, you know what? I can't walk away from that opportunity. And so it forced us to start to get an LLC. Like, we couldn't do it without an LLC and a tax ID number. And so that was kind of like the start of it.
Robert Courtney and Associates is
and that was just because I couldn't think of a good marketing name. So I was like, you know what? I'm about to just call this Robert.
So what made you, so let me ask you, what made you like, what popped in your head that made you want to use the R, the registered R?
With
that, and just and continue to keep using it, like
same thing. Like it wasn't a plan to start the marketing company, like I was telling them, and so I knew like I couldn't go wrong with my name. I knew I wouldn't be doing it alone. I knew that I would be bringing in additional people to help me. So I was like, I'm gonna call this Robert Courtney and Associates. And I always loved like how law offices work. Like, I always love how, like, you hire an attorney who's the face of the brand, but you never get to work with that person. Like,
you never see them.
Yeah, you put
like,
I
never seen Sam Bernstein.
Exactly.
Like Sam Bernstein.
If you think about my brand, it's built like a law firm. Like, it's the way we operate it is really a lot like that. We have a lot of, independent contractors who are a part of our team, but I bring you in through my pipeline, and then I put you with the person that's the best fit for your particular situation. So that was the Robert Courtney and Associates came from that thought process. And then it was like, because I had started to market a little bit, I realized you get faster traction when people can identify you with something. And so I was like, man, that R is like
standout factor.
Yeah,
right?
And like everybody already kind of know. It's already kind of connected to like, creating a uniqueness. You got to go through steps to get it. And so I ended up grabbing it, and it was never meant to be like a fashion thing. So I wasn't worried about being sued or, like anything like that. And it's worked so far. So
and no, go ahead. I was just gonna say, like one of the things that stood out, like when you asked me to sit into the first meeting and I really hate the COVID because I was learning so much, and that just put a damper into it. But
you're gonna get back to it.
Oh yeah, for sure. And a lot of things that I seen you doing and the way you were operating and doing certain interviews and stuff, and just with everything, the little detail stuff were a lot of things that I was like, wow, like maybe I did learn a lot from Specs Howard, because a lot of things that they try to teach us to do was like keep it simple. That was like their number one factor, KISS, keep it simple, stupid, like just and when it comes to your email address, your you helped me with changing the Sports Mouth 313 to Alex Melendrez, because nobody knows who Sports Mouth is. So start here, and just the little simple things. And I as I said in meetings and everything, I seen all of this. I seen like I was slowly seeing your vision, what your vision was and stuff like that. Yeah. And that's what made me really like, God, I love this. And I just like being creative, and with, like I said, they taught us a little bit of branding, marketing, and just
creativity is contagious. If you love it, it really is.
I couldn't wait to go to the meeting the following week, and
that's great.
But so it's awesome, great stuff. A lot of gems, like you say.
So you got Robert Courtney Associates, you got Unique. you walk away from the barbershop, you said in 2018. Someone else takes it over, a couple other guys invest. So in 2020, you got it up and running for, I guess, X amount of years. I think about maybe 10 or 11 years. What have you guys totally, of course you have to change with the times, but what do you guys offer as a company? Because I read, you're the about on your website. That's a lot of stuff. Yeah. What do you guys mainly focus on as a marketing company?
Most clients hire us for social media management. I would say that's probably like our bread and butter. Okay. Like I mentioned before, like early in the conversation, you'd be surprised how many companies haven't needed it. They've existed for so long and they've been successful and they haven't needed to use Facebook or Instagram or any of these newer platforms. So a lot of what we do is about them executing the exact same business on social media platforms. And so that's usually like what opens the door for a lot of our clients. And then once we get in there, we introduce them over time to a lot of different things that we do. It might be running Facebook and Instagram ads for them. It might be helping them create content, get videos done, get photography done. It might be helping them execute a podcast. It might be helping them with email marketing. But all of it is really about online presence and establishing yourself as an authority in the online space. And the deeper we go and as times move forward, if you don't exist online, you don't exist. Like that's what is.
Say that again.
That's what it's coming to, right? And so you might be good now, but in the next 4 or 5 years, like if you haven't done your due diligence, it's gonna be hard to get stake in the game.
Stay afloat, right?
That was
That's real talk right there. Yeah.
Came to you, and I was online. I had Facebook. I had all that, but I wanted to take it to the next level. What would I, since you're managing my social media, is there a flat fee? Is there a percentage? How does that work?
So everything we do is package based. It's all month to month. We don't do any long-term plans or contracts. We give you 30 days at a time. And at the end of every 30 days, you can evaluate whether we brought value to your company or your brand, or whether or not, you want to move in a different direction. And that's, totally fine. So I set it up that way because I want you to be as excited about working with me as I am about working with you. And that's worked out incredibly well for us. We've had clients that's been with us for 2-3 years, voluntarily deciding to continue to pay the service fees. I don't do any commission or percentage type things typically. I mean, there is some unique situations where, it might make sense, but for the most part, the goal is to provide value in the areas that you need it. If you're looking to grow your brand, I know specific strategies that will help you grow your brand. What does that even mean though? Like, first of all, we got to make sure that we're on the same page as to what it means for you to grow your brand. We operate off an acronym called ATTACK: audience, trust, attention, content, and consistency. And so the first letter in that acronym, audience, is the most important factor. If you don't have an audience, you can't do anything, right?
Demographic.
So usually we go in and we establish like, who are you talking to? And then can we improve upon the amount of people that you're reaching? There's a lot of different ways to do that. Cross promotion, Facebook ads, Instagram ads, LinkedIn ads, Google ads, YouTube. Like, there's so many different ways to do that. But where is your ideal customer at? Like, where is that audience at? So there's a boatload of questions. A lot of owners come to us and say, hey, I need you to do our social media. Red flag, the red flag ever. When you say to me, I want you to do my social media, because what that says to me is you have no idea what you want me to do, right? So I have to get an understanding of where you are in the process. Just because you have a Facebook page and an Instagram page and a YouTube page doesn't necessarily mean anything, but it could. And I also go back to like our beginning conversation with the barbershop. A lot of this has nothing to do with my skill level, or it has nothing to do with the quality of my content. Just like it had nothing to do with my skill level as a barber and doing fades and doing tapers. It's more about consistency, being there on time, establishing common ground, putting out content that's relatable, that people actually emotionally connect to. And these are some of the like fundamental layers that everybody want to hop over. It's like, I got a brand, I want to put it out on Facebook, I want to put it out. Okay, that's cool, but like we got to answer some of these principle-based questions before we can get to thinking about the stuff that you want to do. Like you're already on step 7. Like, you haven't done step 6.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. For sure.
That's so true.
2020 January or February, whatever they want to say, COVID hits. You as a marketing company, I think you have an office downtown or wherever your office is at. Does that impact your business at all? Because I got to be honest with you, I'm pretty technological friendly. I can just call you on Zoom or whatever. You really don't be there technically. Right. We can accomplish everything we want virtually. Does that affect your business? Does some people, run for the hills that you were working with because they're like, oh, I don't even know if I'm going to be here tomorrow? Because there's been, they talk about on the news every day how many small businesses have closed up, even large businesses, just kind of gone away to the dodo bird, right? So how does that affect your marketing company?
Good and bad. I mean, so on one side, we had all these people who we've been running email campaigns, and they've been seeing our content, and the people that's been reading my content on Instagram and Facebook. Now they believe me because my content is about getting your social media up to speed, understanding the power of social, all the resources that's available. This is my daily conversation every day. So if you've been kind of following me and watching me, the first thing you think is, dang, he was right.
Right. It's now resonating with them.
And it made you stand out like a sore thumb big time.
They're like, oh, he was on to something.
100%. Like I should have, when I had that initial consultation, and I was thinking about getting my social media up to speed, I should have went ahead and did that a year and a half ago. Now that we're in this pandemic, it wouldn't have impacted me so bad. So I have those. And then I have the people that, of course, they want to scale back or scale down, or, like I said, inventory issues, or the ability to not be able to fully execute their daily operations. And so the budget that was there is not there, so it balanced out because we had an influx of new and we lost a little bit of the current, so for us as a company, it was okay.
So, I mean, I hate to say this, but it was a blessing because it did put a light on what you do.
100%.
Yes.
Social media, even though we're going through a pandemic and COVID and it's affecting around the country, you can be behind a computer. You can, you know what I mean? You can read ads. You can do all that stuff. You don't need to necessarily be in a boardroom discussing strategies.
But a lot of it is know-how. Like a lot of it is just, like we're educating our clients while we're helping them, so if you need to know how to run Zoom or StreamYard or, some of these virtual platforms, you can literally learn for free because we're going to walk you through the process if you're already our client. Our job is to give you new, innovative ways to be able to speak to your customers and keep you visible, because a lot of all of this is about standing your customer's face and making sure that your brand is always relevant, right? So how do you do that if they can't come into the office? How do you do that if you can't go out and physically be in front of them? This is the next best way.
So, you give them those tools. That's amazing.
And
understanding how to use the tools.
And a lot of it is
that. Go ahead.
Yeah, a lot of it is understanding how to use it. A lot of people, they're clueless to it. I mean, you just look at the older generation or just a little bit older than us, half of them don't even know how to use their phones, let alone
Right,
how to
right.
run a
And
business from there. So when you give them those tools and show them how to implement them, that's, it's very
yeah,
powerful.
and sometimes they can't put it down. And like to talk about, it's funny because like a lot of people were like are so into TikTok and it kind of simmered down and picked up. Rob was doing that like last summer, like before the summer
Yeah.
started, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And he was telling people that, like in people that were in their 40s, late 40s, 50s, I said in an interview, and he was trying to explain to somebody that, like it's not just it's every tool could be useful if you know how to utilize it. And
My kids taught me
you
how
know
to
what I
use
mean?
half that stuff.
And he was on that.
It clicked
Yeah,
with me.
and he did so many videos, and he turned himself into like a multiple personality.
Yeah.
Because he's a baller, and we'll get into that a little bit before we let you go. Because there's a couple little NBA questions I want to ask you and stuff like that, but to have some fun with. But
I have my alias.
like you
my
did.
Alias was on TikTok.
Yeah, and
nice.
one of the funniest
Alter
stories
ego.
was
Alter ego. There you go.
right.
There you
Alter ego.
go.
That's what I was trying to think about. But he did one. And he made me get on TikTok. He wanted the team to do a little thing and all that. And I was messing with it. And my daughter was just looking at me like, oh my God. And I was like, just record me.
Okay,
Just,
Dad.
please. And I was like,
I just
wanted,
kids.
the first thing that everybody, they got popular, whatever, they were throwing a shirt or throwing something over and it became liquor and this and that, whatever it was.
You're like, can you stop looking at me weird and just record me, please?
But Rob did one. He did one. And it was like a Maury bit. And I thought that was the funniest thing I seen. I laughed for like a whole week, and I showed my daughter, and he had the hoodie on.
Quarantine. That was quarantine boredom.
Yeah, It was slow motion, and he said, "You are not the father," and he just took off running out the house, all the way down the block. And I was like, but I knew that it was a family thing that they were doing, and I was like, that's so cool, and just and it's so you can relate to like he told me. He went off into his Zoom world and he started interviewing people, and it became a fun thing. And if you could talk a little bit about that, Rob, how you one thing just led to another, and next thing I know, you got interviews 7 days a week.
Right.
And I was like, wow, I was loving them.
The pandemic, was just I feel like a lot of people, because they had to kind of stop so abruptly, it was just like it became depressing. Like, people were losing momentum, and for me, it's like when that happens, then I have to find like where am I going to pull my energy from? And that was just it was the conversations became like a source of energy and motivation. And so I kind of got addicted to having them. So once a week, twice a week, then I'm like,
great, man.
I have one of those conversations like drinking coffee every morning.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I truly believe, even though, like you said, everything happened so abruptly, and it, for some people, it was such a shock value and depression because they're going through, the fear of what's going to happen next. But to find the positive and the negative, from day one, I've been saying there's a silver lining in all of this. You just have to look for it.
And like you said, it's so, like you said, Tori, it's just so like, like I really haven't been around like that much motivation and just surrounding myself with that many people since me and Dreek and a couple of my other friends did what DJ'd and we're so hungry to do what we did in the late 90s into the 2000s, and we all had kids and families and everything had to move on no matter what. You can't stop Mother Nature, but I felt that, like I said, when I was invited, like and I didn't a lot of people, you don't want to take something for granted, no matter what it is. And I got, like I said, I got invited in, and I there's so much more that I want to do and I want to be involved in. That's why it kind of hit me like he was just starting another whole like ready to help people as far as their brand goes and branding. When this happened, and I was like, oh, I came home literally, it was like did like a Macaulay Culkin, like a homo, like, oh my goodness, oh my God, here comes another. But I wasn't trying to be selfish. I was just, I was like, everybody, the whole world stopped at that time. So it was like, I was like,
I feel like it stopped and it came together because there's a lot of people that didn't have time to sit down and learn these things. They didn't have time to spend with their family. They weren't taking care of themselves, self-care.
Yeah.
Even though we are, isolated, thanks to social media and the internet, we're able to come together. There's people I haven't talked to in years, and next thing you know, I'm on this thing called House Party, and I'm like, this sounds amazing. And we're dancing and we're drinking and we're sharing recipes, and I'm like, this is amazing. I still have this, unsettling, things going on with you, and everybody's going through it. We're all in the same boat, but we're treading different waters. And so, you just have to be patient with people. But again, find the silver lining, find the positive and the negative. And obviously, Robert, you're definitely helping people do that. So that's amazing.
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was my next thing. I got to be honest with you. I hope there's some business owners that will be contacting you shortly. I know I'm convinced. I'm like, okay, hey, we need to take the podcast to the next level.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's make an appointment with Robert.
Oh, for sure.
So, and I know you're pressed for time. So we'll wrap this.
Oh, yeah, you're good. Yeah.
Alex said that he wanted to talk to you about basketball.
We can't end this without talking about a little hoop.
Yes.
For sure. I told my cousin as well. I gotta. So
go ahead.
The first question I want to ask you is like, I seen a show you did once, like a while back, and you talked about your most like athletes that influence you. So I came up with a little segment, little thing that we do, and I every week. Mount Rushmore might be at 4 actors, 4 actresses, sports, just mix it up. So, I mean, I want to ask you, like, if you had to pick, you could pick 1, 2, you could pick 4, fill the Mount Rushmore up if you want. But who is your most, and you can number them however you want, most influential athletes for you that just period, or that you just love to watch and
for sure.
Tune into every time.
For any sport or for basketball?
Any sport. Basketball. Basketball because I know you're a big basketball fan, but any sport. Any sport.
Okay, so for me it's super easy. So Michael Jordan is number 1. Do you want to know why, or you want to just?
You know what? I'll tell you this. Give me an athlete, and then give me one word to describe why.
Okay, so Michael Jordan, and
or 2 words. I know you like to use the word
work
ethic.
I over-explained, but
give a quick clip.
Okay.
Yeah.
Michael Jordan, and because of his competitive nature. Kobe Bryant, because of his
Rest in peace, Kobe.
because of his work ethic.
Right.
Tom Brady, because of his
That's a nasty list already.
Right. Yeah.
Man, what a
it's
list.
so hard not to elaborate. Steph Curry.
Let him elaborate.
No, go ahead. Whatever you want to do.
Okay,
you're the guest.
Go ahead. You go ahead. I want to hear it.
For sure.
Steph Curry, because I gotta elaborate on Steph. He's so normal. Like his stature, like his build, like anybody could be Steph Curry. He's only 6'1", 6'2", and his ability to change the game like he has, I think that's pretty incredible. And so like those will probably be like personally my 4 probably favorite athletes. To go back to Kobe though, like I think not just because he passed away and how impactful that was on the world at the beginning of the year, and how everybody kind of like got to realize like who he was and like all the stuff that he did.
Yeah, but it's still unreal.
It's still crazy. But like in every industry, any business, any sport, the thing that I feel makes Kobe one of the greatest athletes ever is that Kobe worked to be as great as he was. Like like Michael Jordan was naturally gifted, naturally athletic. Like a lot of the stuff he did. I mean, he ate cheeseburgers. He smoked cigars.
He didn't have to shoot 1,000 jumpers or wanted to.
Exactly.
After a game, before a game,
he was just athletically gifted.
Exactly. Like he just was. He was his gift to the world was to go out and play basketball.
Yeah.
But with Kobe Bryant, it was just like he didn't have that natural ability. He put in thousands and thousands and thousands of hours to be what he was. And I just think like there's no better example of working for what you want and actually accomplishing that than Kobe. So and I feel like I'm connected with that too when it comes to like Tom Brady. I just feel like, you know, there's no way you can play on his level and have such limited athletic ability as he does and still be considered the GOAT of your sport. Like that's crazy to me.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I was asked about him like at work, like how long, you know, by a younger guy, so younger kid, call him a kid, he was like 19 or something, but you know, he was like, dang, you know, he was a LeBron fan. He's, how long you think he can play? And I love when I get asked sports questions. I was like, man, you know what? He could play. I mean, if he really wanted to, he could probably play like 5 more years.
Right.
If he really wanted to.
Barring no hits like Drew Brees just took a couple weeks ago, he could probably keep on going. But Tom is very good at not putting himself in dangerous situations like that.
Right.
Like he would have just fell to the ground. Like he would have never took a shot like that probably. Exactly. But you know, barring no crazy hits, I think he can keep going. And I should throw Tiger Woods into that Mount Rushmore too.
Oh man,
I think Tiger is, you know, what he's done is pretty.
Yeah. We never see nothing like him when he first came into the game, man. Yeah. And it doesn't matter his racial, his color, all that. Like it doesn't matter what color he was. Nobody never seen nothing like him. No, and even my father used to golf a long time ago, but he made sure he watched Tiger Woods. He would always tune in for him.
Oh yeah, Tiger changed it. All the guys that I named, I feel have, except for maybe Tom Brady, all the other 4 have completely opened up their sport to a wider fan base. Like they've done something bigger than their sport, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. I think that's why I picked those five people.
So, you know, I think Alex says you're a big basketball guy. So I'm a big Detroit Pistons fan. So what do you think about the draft picks that the Pistons got this year?
That's what I wanted to know. That's what I wanted to hear you on.
You know what? Like, to be completely honest and transparent, I haven't been a huge fan of Detroit basketball in a long time. Just like Detroit sports, just they will drain you of like you.
They create their own problems. Right.
To say it out loud, but like I'm such a momentum guy, and I don't like
right. Like I can't do this.
Them to go down. And so, but I mean, I do have some hope with not only the draft picks. I have some hope with like the moves that they've made.
Right.
Look like we're actually trying to
Trader
be a better
Troy
basketball team. You know what I'm saying? Like before,
he got a nickname already. The new GM, he got a nickname already. Not to cut you off, they're calling him Trader Troy. Trader Troy. I mean, and you know he's. I mean, you know, I get a kick out of when fans say, "Oh, get rid of this guy, get rid of that manager, get rid of okay." But they never have an answer of who they can bring in to fill that spot and which direction they should go. Right. So that's why I keep it very. I learned over the years to pick my sports battles when I'm talking sports. Period. I mean,
I'll
rip my own little hair out. I have.
I'll give you another perspective. Like I feel like marketing runs the world. Like right. So that's my perspective on everything. And the way the city of Detroit is marketed globally, you have, first of all, the whole idea of what it is to come here and even play. And then secondly, you have an idea about the culture of what it's like to come and be a part of that. So that's the first thing that needs to happen. Like if when players get here, like a big name like Blake Griffin or like, you know, I mean, I don't even know. Derrick Rose. I don't even know if I necessarily consider Blake. Like once they get here, they're not big names anymore. Like they were big names, and then like Pistons always get them like on the down trend of their career or whatever. But if like Derrick Rose is a great example. I've physically hung out with his son actually with my son with his program or whatever. So we've got to talk for like hours.
That's awesome. I forgot about that. I've seen that.
He loves it here. But I think that happens with everybody that actually comes. Yeah. Like once you're here for a while, you're going to fall in love with the city. Like, you know, we embrace everybody that comes. But it's like we have to create a better presentation for getting them to realize like this is a cool place to come. Like if you really want to to Miami, you're not going to have a problem with going to Miami. It's still a small market, but you won't have any like it's Miami. So even if
it's different, right? It's Miami.
Like the culture, like you know, the beach. Like you're just thinking about all the things you can do. And I think you got to start there.
For sure.
Paint a better picture about what Detroit is about, so that they can come here with the right mindset, so that you can't play good basketball if you're in a bad mindset when you get here.
Right. Yeah. And you're not comfortable. And that goes back to like, you know, that makes me think about you know, I always use this because it's always going to be there. You can't erase history. 2003, the Tigers, man, they won like 45 games. Yeah. And then the following year, they hired Jim Leland. And then the first guy they got was Ivan Rodriguez, who was like the third best catcher in Major League history. And people started coming over there to play because of his press conference. Right. Like if he's coming there and signing, leaving all this money on the table and this, and that's when it started.
Because it's more about culture. Like it's more about the culture.
Exactly. Like, damn, this guy's going to okay.
And the reverse can happen too. Like James Harden, like he turned down all this money because he doesn't like it there anymore. Like I want to go somewhere different. And so like I feel like first of all you have to attract somebody that other people want to play with. You can't do that unless you're painting a better picture of what it's like to be here. So
and like we talked about real quick, Drake, we talked about I want to ask your take on Chris Paul. Like Drake talked about him and like Phoenix Suns, like really, and I was like, you know what,
go out there with you actually.
But and then I did some research, and the young point guard that they have, you know, he's got some promise, and I was like, you know, it's either once again to bounce back to the, like I said, I can't get this such good knowledge, wrestling knowledge from the podcast. It's either not controversy, but it's either cash or creative. Yeah. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like it's either they're going over there for cash and to be in a good atmosphere, warm atmosphere, and retire, get whatever they can, or they're going to actually help somebody and try to mold some guys they actually care. And I believe Chris Paul is that type of guy, type of player.
Yeah. Chris, I mean, what
do you think about that one?
Every franchise or organization that Chris Paul has went to, he's been an asset. Like it baffles my mind that he gets moved around as much as he do.
Like Jason Kidd, almost like Jason Kidd.
Yeah, kind of like Jason Kidd, but you know, like
crazy.
To be as impactful as he is, that means that you have to have a very strong personality, and to impact like the culture of the team and to get players to play, it comes with a strong personality. So a lot of times your management or your coaches, like they can't handle, like that's too much for them to handle. And so a lot of times they want to take and they want to ship that somewhere else so that they don't have to compete with like the guys and who they listen to and who they're paying attention to. But far as Chris Paul go, like usually he goes in and he immediately engulfs himself into the team, and they all like, you know, he got to remember he was the president of the Players Association, you know, so his respect level is like clearly very high. To put him in that position. And so most time when he goes in, it's like he already comes in with a level of respect.
For sure.
And then when he's healthy, he's still one of the best guards in the league.
Ridiculous.
You know, so all those things together, I think, you know, he's going to be a great fit for Phoenix and with Booker and that youthful foundation.
That's what I'm talking about, Booker. Yep.
No, Booker's.
For sure.
So you talked about like you haven't been a huge Pistons fan in a long time, but I think, to be honest with you, with all the Detroit teams, I think it's tough to be a Detroit fan anything, especially the
Yeah.
Lions, the Tigers. We haven't won a World Series in over 30 years plus. So I think it is. I think it is tough, but definitely I think it's the organizations that
It starts at the top.
it's either they market, they wanted to play for Illich, you know what I mean, the old man. Do they want to play for the daughter? Maybe not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like the baseball, maybe not. You know what I mean? They wanted to play. They wanted to play for Bill Davis. Do they want to play for? Maybe not. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's
that leadership factor again, right?
Every organization, sports, business, or other, it starts at the top, right? Like your team is going to be a reflection of ownership, and if the ownership is genuinely interested in or have the players' best interest at heart, so I feel like that's continuously shined through when it comes to a lot of Detroit sports. And until that part changes, I feel like we're going to have lackluster teams, and that affects the fan base. It's like we're disconnected. We're disconnected because you're putting a subpar product on the floor to represent Detroit sports. So.
And like me, I'm not. Sorry, Tori, you already know. Not a Dallas Cowboys fan, but a big but. If I had an owner like Jerry Jones and with the lot, like I would be, I would be clawing at everybody like you don't know what you're talking about, but we've never seen nothing like that. You see you see the forwards on the field before the game,
right?
Maybe like for a hot minute, but you never, So one more quick question that I want to know. Mm-hmm. Matt Patricia. Do you think he should be gone? Would you just let him ride it out? Because you understand, he only got a 3-year deal. The days of like hiring managers or head coaches for 5-6 years, those days are kind of gone. Mm-hmm. Somewhat, you know what I mean? And like Sean Payton, guys like that. Of course, Bill Belichick. I mean, that guy probably got a 20-year contract. But it's, you're not. It's the days of that are gone. So I'm like, you know what? And most people, like with the Pistons, they went through like 8 coaches in like 5 years, and it's like, how can you build any continuity, stability, whatever word you want to use out the dictionary, and you keep changing this process and and like you said, you have there's just no set foundation or genuine caring of where you want the team to go. So it's like, no.
I mean, I don't like. I think my biggest thing with Matt Patricia is like his lack of accountability. Like at least like Caldwell, and in hindsight, he's been our best coach in a while, right?
Right.
At least he always he took full responsibility for L's or like to see the team not doing good. Like he never pointed the finger, he never blamed anybody. Right. And I think like that sense of accountability, it permeates into your team.
Right.
So
absolutely.
If you're passing the blame or pointing the finger or doing whatever, then as a linebacker, as a running back, as a quarterback, like
put my pen in my ear.
In life is general, you have to be accountable, especially when you're a leader.
Yep. The action of the players is going to completely reflect the leadership of the coach. Like it's just
absolutely
the reality of
trickles down no matter how you right.
Yep.
So what you're saying is I shouldn't put a pen in my ear
it's probably not
the Matt Patricia pencil thing.
I mean that's look, every coach has his pros and cons. At the end of the day, that's one of his cons. Does he have some pros? Right. Absolutely. I mean, he come from Bill Belichick's system, like
and expectations are like
I would imagine you had some pros.
Yeah, if it was the same coach not coming from that high standard, we might be looking at the situation completely different. Like who knows? But I think he came in kind of with a chip on his shoulder, believing that he could duplicate or replicate what was happening for him over in New England.
Right.
And it's just like, that's first of all the wrong way to come into the situation, because you know, it's not New England. But I think he just kind of got off to the wrong foot. And then it doesn't help when you have injuries and you have like all these moving and changing parts.
And you're kind of pushing players away, like Darius Slay.
Exactly.
That's
it's
just not good,
the moves
man.
that Detroit sports programs make, just like between Detroit Pistons and the Charlotte Bobcats and MJ, like,
oh wow, he went back to the Bobcats. Drake, damn.
Look,
right.
I don't know. Like, are you trying to not be good? Are you trying to not have a team? Like, I don't get it.
So it's, I know we're going back to ownership, but you know, I know Arthur Ford stepped down and she gave it to her daughter now. My mom's really good friends with Bill Ford, William Ford, and he was on the phone the other day with her. And I really wanted to grab the phone from my mother. What the fuck is going on with the Lions?
You should have. That would have been great.
Man.
Grab the phone like Kanye.
You should have asked him for an interview.
Right, you should have set up your phone so that you could record it and then just did it for the soundbite.
That part.
That would have went viral for sure.
Yeah,
sure.
Damn it.
Listen, catch that next opportunity. I'm gonna need you to catch that next one.
Just don't know what we're doing. But we're gonna wrap this up, man. I know you gotta go, and I really appreciate your time. Go ahead.
Yeah, no problem.
All your
thanks a lot, Rob. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah. Hey, look. Before I get off, I have to say, this is a special shout out to Alex, because I know how long he's been trying to put a podcast together. I know it took you guys coming together to create it, but I just want to say 100% how proud I am watching the journey and watching all the hard work and the starting and the stopping and the starting and the stopping, and then just deciding that I'm not going to give up and I'm going to make it happen. Like, it's super dope to see you guys come together and be on seven episode. So hats off to you, and very, very great meeting you, Tori, and talking with you and Riga.
For sure. Yep. Thanks a lot. And I mean, words can't even express, just how that makes me feel, man. I appreciate it. Like I said, if it wasn't, you got a couple, people that you can keep by your side and have push you, and I got my cousin up there. Very, very grateful, blessed. I got Tori, great friend now, and we're doing it, and hopefully it just moves on, and we'll definitely keep in touch, because that next level step, it's about almost time for us to make that. But
hey, look, I'm always available. It might not be for a long time, but whenever you guys need me, just hit me up. I'll always
for sure. Awesome. And you know what? And before, if you don't mind, I was gonna say, because I don't know when the next time I'm gonna see you, but if you're down in the neighborhood, man, I told you about the book. I had to get it. I don't know if you can see it. I don't know. It's kind of probably breaking it out. About right there.
Oh yeah. I forgot about that.
Mamba mentality. So I got a Kobe Bryant book.
Oh, nice,
I'm gonna make a special trip to come grab
for
it.
you. Yeah, for sure, man. For sure.
So go ahead and plug your stuff, and then we'll say goodbye.
Yeah, for sure. So you can jump on our website. It's robertcourtneyandassociates.com for any and all marketing needs. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Robert Courtney and Associates. You can follow my personal page, Robert Courtney Collins, on Instagram. The fashion brand website is wearunique.com, WEARUNEEK.com. So, or just, type it into Google, Robert Courtney Collins, and I'm sure you'll find a plethora of links. And
we want to say, like I said, once again, I appreciate it, man. Thanks for your time. I know we ran 40 minutes longer, so I appreciate it.
It's all good.
Thank
we had fun.
And shout out to your significant other on the opening once again for the salon, man. I know you're very very proud of her, and I just want to
100%. Teasersalon.com and Wyandotte. You guys want to
167 Oak Street.
Yes.
Damn, I say you got that
Man,
number.
that's what's up. Somebody's been doing some good branding.
Oh, yeah. For sure, man. Thanks a lot, Rob, man. You have a great Sunday.
Thanksgiving to everybody.
Happy Sunday.
Thank you. You guys have a great rest of your day too.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.